he sent out. Let's try to redo this. Get this sound to go. There we go. Now we got our sound. Okay, so it's like tomorrow, no, tonight. Let's get everybody here. Drop it out. Game sound fits. Great. Okay. So we are officially in Endwalker. That is the Endwalker thing. I seen this from my wife was playing. She was playing a game when I wasn't so many times. You kind of want to watch the trailer. It's the second time I've seen it.
Had begun to fray, its lands rent by tooth and claw.
Myself, you know. And I've had enough of this rabble. Come on!
As the chaos spread, the star seemed doomed to unravel. And yet... those who stood in defiance of that fate. The hour has come, creature. It's all or nothing. The stage is set, but will our hero deign to play their part? You took your time. 'Tis as we feared. The respite afforded this land was but fleeting. The end draweth nigh. I knew it. This star still has secrets to tell. Take care, my friend.
So, Charlian would keep its counsel while the world is lost to ruin.
It would. Come what may, we shall live on. We must.
Do as you must, then. But we scions will fight until the heavens fall, until our last breath.
Past the far edge of fate. Ring blades dark and light.
What up, Mark?
Tolling the
How you doing,
coming
guys?
of the end.
Watching the beginning of this expansion. Ain't nothing else is pretty. Nothing else is pretty. Let's see. Okay. At work, have retrieved. No problem, man. Thanks for stopping by. The new part of the story quest started for the current expansion, so queues are a little bit longer than they normally are. Okay. Oh yeah. When we last left the hero, he went to bed. Sleeping. ship to sail. Okay. Duran, do you have some time to talk? I would like to gather everyone in Dawn's respite and together assess the situation in which we find ourselves. I was just in there. Let us take stock of the fact that, shall we? The crisis at hand begins with the sudden appearance of the ominous towers and the multitude of the locations throughout the world. We have since learned that said structures were brought into being by an organization known as the Telephoroi. The Telephoroi's stated purpose to recreate the final days of eons past, an apocalyptic event that will result in the destruction of all we hold dear. Already have these towers of theirs been causing untold suffering. Back a little bit. Countless innocent kidnappings and imprisoned, their faith perverted for primal summonings. And unless we find a way to deal with the corruptive aura surrounding the spears, we can't even get close enough to rescue anyone. Those shielded with the blessing of light seem to be resistance being tempered at least. But after what happened to Arvald and Fordola, we need to be very, very careful about how we proceed. Yet, while these threats close to home are paramount concern, we mustn't lose sight of the situation in Garland. As you know, Telephoria are under the leadership of Fandaniel and one other delightful fellow, Zenos, Gnavis, the crown prince of our dear friend. To date, he's reclaimed his old body, murdered Emperor Varus, and plunged Garlemald into even deeper pits of chaos. The capital has probably seen the worst of it. For a good while there it saw the bloodiest fighting in the War of Succession, but that has since changed in troubling ways. During our reconnaissance, the air was not once rent by the barking of cannons or the cries of discord. It was an eerie fog of silence which did blanket that ruined city. The inhabited appearance had been tampered, and with ne'er a word spoke did they labor to transform the place into soaring edifice born of nightmares. If they were indeed made thrall, it seems safe to assume that these events too were orchestrated by the telephone. An army of primals is awful enough, but in the light of the recent developments, I fear it is only the prelude to an even greater catastrophe. We need to devise a means to counter this threat, and quickly before our allies are overwhelmed. We will find a way in Charlene. I am sure of it. Master Forchenault's comments regarding the final days were curious to say the least. The form knows more than it's letting on. Hey, Alex, what's going on, buddy? Yeah, just started. Legit, just started. Sorry to interrupt. We just received word from Mistress Kryl. She said that arrangements for your visit have been finalized. You're to head to Limsa and board the next ship bound for Charlene. And on arrival, present yourself as associates of the students of the office. Come to assist with the Order of Restoration. I'm going The arrangements may be settled. Hope you enjoy. A lot of stuff happens. Yeah, we're going to see what all happens here soon. The arrangements may be settled. What are your thoughts? They must race at the prospect of returning home after so long. I'm eager to see it, of course. Of course. We should set off at once. Then I'll accompany you to the docks. You'll need at least one person there to wave and cry and wish you a safe journey. Okay, that quest acceptance thing is a little weird, but okay. Just a new one to get used to, I guess. Alright, we are off to Limsa. Crowded city of Limsa. Oh, I was gonna say, it's not crowded. Oh, never mind. It's crowded. Alright, so get out of here. Okay, everyone's here, which is good because I've already paid for your passage, and the fee is non-refundable. The ship for Charlene should be pulling into a port soon, so please follow me and have all your luggage close at hand.
They've almost finished loading our cargo. We should be ready to depart right on schedule, or so I'm told.
Excellent. 'Tis nice to have a smooth beginning to one's journey, at the very least.
It's funny. Master Louis Soir came here on a ship very much like this one. And now, years later, the street urchin he befriended that day is bound for his mentor's homeland. With his mentor's grandchildren, no less.
Aye. 'Tis upon reflection that every twist of time's river and fate's whims are brought into sharp relief. Thou hast matured much in the intervening years. Wert thou not caught attempting to relieve Master Louisoix of his purse scant moments after he made landfall upon this dock?
Oh, really? Now that's a tale I'd like to hear.
Will this be your first visit to Charlian, Sir Estinian? Sir Estinian?
Are we strangers newly met? Why this stiff formality?
I, merely meant it as a professional courtesy, since we are now colleagues in an official sense.
I'd rather you dispense with the sirs, especially in private company. Or I'll be forced to respond in kind, little Lord Alphino.
You've made your point, Estinian. Painfully well.
Better.
Are you all right, Tataru? You seem positively distraught.
Right.
Distraught? Me? Don't be silly. I think it's lovely that they get to see their homeland. It's just... we're trying to thwart the schemes of an army hellbent on destroying the world. And, once again, I have to stay behind and worry that this is the last time I'll get to see my friends.
We'll go with this one. No sense to worry about things we are powerless to change. I don't want to promise to bring anybody back.
Well, that's hardly comforting.
Well, it's not supposed to be comforting. It's supposed to be true.
Ah, good. You're still here.
Hori! Kultine! What brings you all this way?
We're to assist the Maelstrom and the Kobolds with a lunar primal operation, so we thought we'd see you off before heading to the tower. Flamine and the others wish you all a safe journey, and promise that they'll look after things here until you return. We will too, of course. Aye. We, your fellow Scions of the Seventh Dawn, will do our part to ensure the end of the world won't happen on our watch.
We're set to sail! All aboard for Charlian!
It's time.
Then we must delay no longer. We will contact you the moment we learn aught of value. Wish us luck.
Have a safe journey, and please, please, be careful.
And so you venture forth unto the unknown. A fate beyond the horizon that cannot be divined. A future undefined and in flux. In uncertain times, naught but the simplest words of wisdom will suffice.
Oh, you got a lefty right. What's up, Andy?
That which lives is destined to die. Love leads to loss. Every beginning has an end. Treasure every moment, every step of your descent. And there, in the depths where souls and stars rest, find your truth.
For those who haven't seen one of these streams before, this is the start of the new expansion for our fourth expansion for Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker. So we are basically getting just started. I literally just clicked and got things started since the stream started. So we have a lot of stories set up. You trying to see yourself? Right there. Just a second.
Here. Feel. Think.
The day has barely dawned, my fellow earlier riser. Though we're hardly alone in that. Envious of those still sleeping soundly, no doubt.
You just gonna stay there for keep watching yourself?
Called out to you, you say? I've heard nothing myself. In any case, I dare say the sea air will do you good. Why not join the others on deck? Charlian should be coming into view at any moment.
Kind of, at least the spirit of her.
My voice yet reaches you. I am glad. Hear, feel, think. And thus do we meet face to face at last. My warrior of light, guided by the crystal.
So why now? I don't know if I can say what about it. Trust your words.
After your sojourn in the First, I believe you have your answer. You have gained an understanding of what I truly am, what Eidolon has always been, a primal. Zodiac was created to forestall the apocalypse which threatened the ancient world, and I was brought forth to bind him. Yet 7 times now, those who would orchestrate a return to that bygone era had rejoined a shard to the god I had sundered. The greater his strength grows, the swifter does mine own diminish. The power to draw your mind into the rift betwixt is no longer mine to wield. Yet though it taxes me sorely, I dare not leave these words unsaid. Even bereft of my guidance, you and your companions have accepted the burden of this star's troubled past. A conjunction has begun to form, an intertwining of your time and mine. Wheels shudder and turn. Conflict looms. Monumental. Which will decide the fate of this world and all life upon it. When you truly understand what is at stake, and your journey has prepared you to surmount the insurmountable, then shall I honor the promise made in another time, another age.
Cast your peepers to the fore, folks. Sharlian's just over yonder.
I will not keep you further. Your traveler's heart must yearn to behold this unfamiliar land. We shall meet again, and soon.
Oh, what a fine morning. Oh, still a bit stiff though.
And a good morning to you too. Taking a look at the island already?
Then let's go. Let's go. Might still be room in the prow if we're lucky.
Ah, the sleepers have arisen. There she is. Good old Sharlian.
Oh, I see it.
Home. Home at last. Well, maybe not in Father's eyes. But we'll manage on our own, if we must.
You do know you're not alone in this, don't you?
Indeed. 'Tis as Sir Estinian said. Forget not the comrades who boarded this ship at your side, I prithee.
Thank you, my friends. We are ever grateful for your steadfast support.
Upon arrival, we will be disembarking into the heart of Sharlian proper. There is no greater concentration of wisdom in all the world. I am confident that somewhere within that center of knowledge and learning, we will find the answers we seek.
They're all long like that so far, but I've noticed.
Sharlian, the solitary island nation of the northern seas. Where under the watchful gaze of Thaliak, patron deity of scholars, academics hoard all manner of knowledge and secrets. Once, they deigned to accept foreign students into a distant colony maintained in the Dravanian hinterlands. How swiftly they abandoned it once the first Garlean boot set hostile foot on Alamegan soil. So averse to the prosecution of war, these men of wisdom, your would-be allies.
I thought they'd never let us off the ship. What's next, then? Entry applications?
Hopefully they find no cause to deny us.
Hasn't Sharlian Orbit severed relations with foreign powers? Those of us without direct ties, myself included, may be refused outright.
'Tis true that, as a nation, Sharlian only forms trade agreements with a select few neutral countries. But from a practical standpoint, an island cannot afford to be overly strict with its borders, especially not if that island's people are wholly devoted to the accumulation of knowledge. If one submits the proper paperwork, with satisfactory evidence of identity and intent, then foreigners may be granted entry.
May.
Quite. So let us be absolutely clear on these points before we proceed.
Into this game. So,
the immigration officer will ask for your affiliation and your purpose of visit. Considering Sharlian's views on intervention, I strongly suggest we avoid any mention of the Scions. Kral has laid the groundwork for us to act as associates of the students of Baldessian, and our ostensible reason for being here is to aid in their order's restoration. Grahatir, it might expedite our progress should an actual student be seen at the head of our little group. Would you mind leading the way?
Of course. The immigration officers were this way, as I recall. Shall we? Greetings. We've just arrived and are eager to make our way into the city. Would you be so kind as to process our entry applications?
Certainly. I see by your mark you are an Archon.
I am. Grahatir of the Students of Baldessian at your service. I was assigned to an Eorzean survey team, but have returned to assist with the reformation of my order. My associates here will provide additional support.
Very good. I have paperwork detailing your group and its scheduled arrival for today. And it seems some few of your companions are also Archons. If you'll step forward, we can process those applications first.
Ishtola rule.
See how it glows? That list is etherically linked with the citizen registry kept in the main repository.
I've confirmed your status as Archons and amended your travel records accordingly. Welcome home. Now, who do we have here?
Alphino Leveilleur.
And Alizé Leveilleur.
Your applications have also been approved. Having said that, the streets are abuzz with talk of how House Leveilleur's lord disowned his young progeny. And while such personal circumstances constitute no reason to deny you entry, I urge you to avoid exacerbating your present situation. Times are quite troubled enough already.
Yeah, man, they pops disowned them, basically.
We shall keep that in mind.
These last two are not Sharlayan natives, but you will find their credentials are in order. An application was made in advance.
Name and occupation?
Go with the last one. Champion of the road.
And it is a title well earned, I can assure you.
An adventurer by trade is what your documentation indicates. No mention of this particular title. Self-appointed, I take it?
No.
Either way, your employer seems willing to vouch for your character, so I shall, albeit reluctantly, grant you entry. Champion.
Wow.
And you, sir?
Fandaniel Valeno, formerly of the Order of the Knights Dragoon in Ishgard.
I'm gonna say 2 worlds, and I still can't get to the spec.
Formally, at least. And what, pray tell, is your profession now?
If you'll allow me... My associate is a mercenary, hired for his strength at arms. Surely you are aware of the dangers we often face on our forays into the wilderness.
Mistress Baldessian, if you insist on sponsoring his entry, then so be it. But while I appreciate that desperate times call for desperate measures, I find your choice of company concerning. Be advised that even a single misstep may have severe repercussions for your organization.
I have every confidence in my chosen company, dear and trusted comrades that they are. But I thank you for your concern.
Croyle, it is good to see you.
Likewise. Long voyage notwithstanding, you will seem none the worse for wear. There is much to discuss, but this is hardly the place. Let's be on our way, shall we? Oh! Welcome, friends, to Sharlayan.
As your mercenary, I should hope my welcome includes a generous salary.
Well, I had to say something, Sir Taciturn.
Okay, I got it. Yeah. It's like, yo, since I'm a mercenary, can I get paid like a mercenary? Alright, cool. So, once asked, is this the end of the game? So, no. No. This is the 4th expansion. Basically, think of it as the end of the story. So, like, you know, Harry Potter's got his set of books. Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Chronicles of Narnia, they have their set of books. This would be a book. This will close up this story. And we will move into a new story with the next expansion. So, the end of this story, but not the end of the game. I don't foresee any time in the near future of Final Fantasy ending. It will be a game that you can come back and play years from now. I'm going to believe, because the story itself is going to allow you to. All right, let's keep moving because I don't know how much time I'm going to get to this afternoon. I wanted to get started on this today. I'm glad I spotted your ship coming to the port. Officers are born bureaucrats and sticklers for detail. In any case, you may relax and take a moment to get your land legs back. Okay. See one small there. Start this right here. This is right here. It's the only thing about when you start the new expansions is you have to tune the new towers, new stands. Gotta get permission for flying again. Alright. All that fun stuff. Alright, cool. Let's keep the story rolling. I thought I had to launch directly into explanation of what I've learned and how we might proceed. But this is Durand and Estinian's first time in Charlene. For the rest of us, for the rest of you, a homecoming that was long overdue. You must have places you wish to visit and people you're dying to see. Therefore, I propose we postpone our agenda so that you all may have sufficient time to recover from your journey and get your bearings in the city. Once you've settled in, we can reconvene at the Valdisone Annex. How does that sound? Such a fine suggestion. May we not be welcomed at the Lavore Estates as such, but I should like to nose around the neighborhood all the same. I am equally untethered, as it were. There is no particular place that my kin call home. Still, I would not pass up the opportunity to reacquaint myself with the city. Likewise, a quick tour of the old hunt might even yield some useful gossip. The annex was west of the Ethernight Plaza, wasn't it? I shall join you there. Yes, we will see you there. Well, you're young to line, so I too have places I would be remiss not visiting forthwith by thy leave. What of you, Gideon? My services as a guide are yours for the asking. That won't be necessary. Until we reconvene, I prefer to wander as the wind takes me. But I could... Oh. Well, Ra, would you like to join us then? You've been gone for quite a while, and this would be the perfect way to refresh those dusty old memories of yours. Of course. If you will have me. Come to reign. Charlene awaits. Alright. So, Heidelin, that's the first time we've actually talked to Heidelin in quite some time. We did learn that she was a primal in the last expansion. So, I'm sure there's more to this story, and I'm sure we'll learn a little more before. Also, yeah, this is our first time here, so let's see what we got that one on. After you, my friend, I am more than content to follow your lead. Garcia is now accompanying you. Keep him at your side in order to proceed with the quest objective. In the event you use your Ethernet, Garcia will catch up to you, so as long as you remain in the same area. You can leave Garcia behind, however, by entering a different area, you may also speak to him and select his options partner. If you wish to have Garcia's company in return, you speak to him at the original location. Next try speaking with Cloud. All set? Then let's be on our way. Our first stop, amusingly enough, will be the Last Stand. It's a cafe on the west side of the harbor. Cloud is also now accompanying you. Lead your two companions to the Last Stand and speak with Cloud at the location. While you are accompanying, you may encounter conversation points along the way, which offer additional topics to discuss. Enter the glowing area to speak with request companions to initiate these bonus conversations and to exploring your surroundings together. Big crystal. It's a different kind of crystal. It's attuned to it. I'm sure at some point I would have attuned to this. Since we're here. Cool, conversation point. Okay, and here we are, the Last Stand. Oh, this is the Last Stand? I have mentioned this before, but although our research into nutrition and food preparation is quite extensive, the average Charlie tends to regard seasoning and flavor with a certain indifference. How can I put this? The food is bland. It is encapsulated by our infamous arch and loaf. And the prevailing sentiment towards the cuisine is dietary value first, and taste is a distant second. There was one pupil at the stadium, however, who could stomach the school's instant meals no longer, so he quit his lesson and poured all his savings into building a proper eatery. And so the Last Stand came to be. It is the name of the name implies the sole dedicated outpost of fine dining and trade. One and only destination of the culinary arts in the Isle of otherwise mediocre food. I seem to recall their burger being hailed as one of the more impressive items on the menu. Not that I have ever had the pleasure of eating one myself, because you were a typical Charlie when it came to cheap and convenient, Raha. But surely Tataru has since taught you how to appreciate a well-prepared dish. We shall all stop in when time permits and sample the cafe's delights. Shall we press on? The stairs to the side of the cafe here will take us up the Ethernet Plaza. Oh, see, I just had to be patient. Detail work on the show. For anybody who's here, this is gorgeous. Not gonna lie. I just had to be patient. Alright, an unusual shape, isn't it? I assure you, however, that it is perfectly functioning Ethernet. Remember to attune yourself before we move on. Now, being a delighted tour guide that I am, I should make mention of the influence and research facilities located on this very plaza. Its much vaunted discoveries are the reason Charlene stands at the forefront of the teleportation technology. In deciphering the underlying principles of the Alagarian Euphorites, it allowed us to understand and reconstruct what was essentially a lost art. And off we go to our next destination. Our path leads northeast to the Agora, Charlene's largest market. Welcome to Agora, where you can find where made in Charlene, as well as wide selection of imported goods. They also used to sell questionable prototypes from the various research institutions, but I think that practice has thankfully died out for the most part. Otherwise, I can think of no better place to stop before your next big adventure. Am I overselling it? On a more serious note, the next stop on our tour is one which has particular relevance to our ultimate purpose here. Okay, so this is where I come to the... Okay, I can come here for a minute. We must head back to the Ethernet Plaza and follow the path north, then climb the stairs up to the imposing building at the very top. Back to where we came from, sort of. Talk about the these little decorative features are typical Charlene architect, aside from the research wing of our headquarters on the Isle of Val, were rather simple and rustic by comparison. Let's keep it moving. Alright, the grand structure before you is the Rostria. The name refers to the original public platform erected here upon which a form of elected representatives would deliver orientations by debate policies. Although the stage has since evolved into the council chamber, the nature of the form and the duties of its members remain largely unchanged. Am I boring you, Ra? You seem awfully distracted. My apologies. From here, one can see the entire city spread out below. The vista put me in mind of my arrival in the first. Those who had gathered at the Crystal Tower asked me how they might go about building a new home. Naturally, my answers were all inspired by my knowledge of the finest settlement I can think of, the great city of Charlotte. And bit by bit, those few buildings grew into a town, a community, the Crystarium. I can almost see its echo. I see. Feel free to come up here whenever you wish. I don't think the counselors would object to you simply enjoying the view. Such memories should be treasured. For now, however, the tour must go on. Our spectacle of sightseeing concludes with the fitting name Journey's End. Walk down the stairs to the east and continue straight ahead. First one I've seen since the other. We'll have to go around and find all those on maybe an off time. We arrived at the Journey's End. History tells us that this was where those who put ashore with the Archon, I ain't gonna try to pronounce that name, built their first homes. In the present day, it serves as a residential district for most important officials in the oldest Charlon families. You'll see that one mansion is clearly larger than its neighbors. That estate belongs to our friends from the House of Lord. All things considered, we should probably keep our distance for the time being. And with that, we bring our little Charlon tour to a close. I hope it has proven to be an entertaining and enlightening experience. Now, shall we head directly towards Vault Annex? You remember the way, don't you, Ra? Let me think. We had to head down towards the harbor, cross the bridge to our right, and then follow the path below the Ethernet Plaza. Correct. You ran it. So fast. Alright, as the joyous look on Ra's face is undoubtedly informed you, this is the bothersome evidence. If you continue up the hill, you will arrive on the doorstep of the phenomenon, but I think we've explored enough for one day. We can take you there another time. Inside with you. Okay. I am back, and I brought Duran and Rob with me. Ah, you were right about the ship. And hello, Gara. It's nice to see you again. And it's a pleasure to finally meet you, Duran. I've heard many tales of your exploits. Give me one second, guys. Ojikia Tuskanika. It has been an age. I hope I said that right. Allow me to introduce Ojikia Tuskanika. Man, look, that is a lot of words. A lot of words. Oh, let's see. Administration officer for the students of Baldwin. He oversees the day-to-day business of the Enix. The champion of Erosia has featured promptly in Krill and Garla's reports. So for me, this is akin to seeing a fabled hero come to life. It is an honor to make your appointment. Sorry, Dr. Grander's shoes sparkling caught my eye. This place is like a second home for the students. The island of Val serves as our main headquarters, of course, but we often had occasion to visit Charlotte. Whether to make use of the city's research facilities, attend conferences, or procure supplies from distant shores. And then Annex here was built to provide lodging for our members while we engage in such activities. Ever since our former headquarters, along with its isle itself, vanished, the Enix has served as our base of operations. And yet it feels so empty with so many lost to us. Our organization is a shell of its former self. The day will come when we will see the students rise again. But first, we must ensure that the Telefonora fall. Through that door on the left, there is a main hall where we can discuss our options moving forward. Once everyone arrives, that is, you probably have time to rest before our discussions begin in earnest. I've had private quarters prepared for you in the Aderan, so please feel free to make yourself at home. Ah, the nap rooms, perfect for an afternoon doze. Oh, I didn't mean to give you the wrong impression. The chambers are quite well appointed, far more so than some cheap roadside inn, you may be assured. 'Twas simply that we were often so busy with research or exhausted from journeys abroad that we would slip into the Durham just to steal a few weeks. And thus they became known amongst the students as nap rooms. even if many such naps might last well into the following morning. Say the word, and I'll be happy to show you to your chambers. Hopefully the others won't be too long in coming. I'll wait for you in the main hall. Alright. A lot of conversation. Feeling refreshed and alert, our colleagues should be wandering in soon, so I suggest we stay here and wait for them to join us.
Pray forgive me. I was delayed.
It's fine, Urianger. We're all here now.
Let's get down to business then, shall we? Come what may, we must prevent the Telophoroi's plans from coming to fruition. At present, I see two paths for gathering the information which may aid us in achieving that goal. The first involves an investigation into the change which has come over Sharlayan, not to mention the recent inscrutable behavior of the Forum. As most of you know, the 99 members of the Forum are elected from the general populace. This alone guarantees a plethora of opinion with regards to foreign policy. The bibliotheques, for example, are a group of conservatives which would have Sharlayan focus on recording history, while remaining entirely uninvolved in the making of it. And at the other extreme, we have advocates for proactive diplomacy and direct intervention. My grandfather Galef was one such member, as was Archon Louisois. Yet despite our diverse factions and philosophies, the recent vote to deny Eorzea's request for assistance was unanimous. Even more concerning was the fact that many cited other, more pressing duties as justification for their recalcitrance.
Fortuno's refusal in Gridania had those same undertones. 'Twas as if, having stared unblinking into the face of impending doom, it simply turned away to pursue something more important. But what could that possibly be?
A mystery indeed, and one which I ask for your help to solve. Our future may depend on it. As for our second potential path, it concerns a request made directly to the students of Baldessian. Our organization was founded primarily to study strange and unexplained phenomena the world over. Mysterious relics and ruins, arcane disturbances, and so forth.
Special light. Okay, cool.
Compared to our more
We'll be back later on
isolationist
tonight, too,
Sharlayan
with,
colleagues,
God of War.
we have strong connections overseas, namely with scholars and academics who share our passion for the unknown. The request in question comes from one such acquaintance, Nidana, an alchemist residing in distant Thavnair. Her missive describes the sudden appearance of a tower, and the subsequent summoning of what I can only assume is a lunar primal. In response to this threat, the Satrap of Radzat-Han, the individual who governs the city-state, has instructed the alchemists to find a means to deal with the spire.
The artisans of that land are heirs to an ancient tradition. one rather unlike that of their Uldan counterparts. 'Tis possible, nay, probable, that they have gleaned truths unattainable by Eorzea or her Far Eastern allies.
They do, in fact, appear to have a strategy in mind, though it will require further research. To that end, they have requested an introduction to a capable warrior shielded by the blessing of light.
Assuming we divide our forces to pursue both of Kral's lines of inquiry, then having you join the group heading to Thavnair would seem the obvious choice. But the investigation in Sharlayan is of vital importance as well. Equal, I think, to the Thavnairian one, given that the fate of the world may hinge on the results of both.
Yes, it is quite the quandary. Though it is a great imposition and an altogether too common one, our efforts would be more likely to succeed were you to lead the charge on both fronts. You are indeed our champion. As to which task to tackle first, we will defer to your decision. Let us next decide how everyone else might best be assigned. As for myself, I shall continue what I've begun in Sharlayan. I should also like to steal the services of an Archon or two.
And thereby gain access to a greater range of reading material. I will help with that.
Allow me to offer my assistance. I have some small amount of experience in the field of research.
Alice and I would also like to help, if you would have us.
Anything to understand even a fraction of what our father and the Forum might be thinking.
Of course! The more the merrier.
Right. The rest of us will make the journey to Thavnair. Thoughts? Objections?
I passed through Thavnair on my way to infiltrate the Empire, and though I'm not qualified to give a guided tour, I did gain a sense of where things lie.
I'll be happy to have you along then. So for this group, it will be you, me, and Urianger.
Give me a moment afterwards, and I'll supply you with all the details of Nadana's request. Consider this hall our rendezvous point once our respective tasks are complete. May our investigations prove fruitful.
So it looks like we have two different quest sets here to pick up. This one, an unsettling change has come over Sharlayan, but together we will divine the underlying cause for the thorn's callousness. As I mentioned before, however, questioning the council directly is a fruitless endeavor. They seem to have already come to a consensus as to what and how little they are willing to divulge, which is why I began scouring Sharlayan's archives for historical records for any hint of a connection to the final day. Suffice it to say, the progress has been slow. There are only so many dusty pages one can skim in a day. But now that I have this band of willing reinforcements, the search should proceed all the way. Let us reconvene outside News Show. Exit the annex to the right, and you'll find the archive on the western edge of the woods. We'll pick up the one from the thing afterwards. I'm sure it'll be there when we get back. My directions are easy enough to follow, I hope. In any case, you stand now before the doors of Charlene's grandest collection of books and tomes. This building is actually only an entrance, and one of many at that, for the archives of the Nun extend deep beneath the surface like the roots of a tree. The vast halls of the great Gulliby Library pale in comparison to Nun's endless maze of subterranean chambers. Any citizen of Charlene is free to enter and peruse its shelves. We will most of the shelves. Only archons are afforded access to certain restricted vaults. I dispatched Yashoda and Ra to investigate those. Meanwhile, Alize and Alphino will help me continue my search through the stacks open to the general public. Your status presents more of a problem. A non-citizen, you're only permitted to browse the first floor here at the entrance. Even so, there should be a number of books which touch upon Charlene's history or form policies. Your task will be to find and study those relevant publications. I promise you a working knowledge of those subjects will make it far easier to spot the sort of clues we're looking for. Let us be about it, shall we? I've told the others to meet us at the stone bench over there once they found some promising tomes. Happy reading. Okay. We're not really going to read this. We're going to click through that. It's a lot of words. Alright. Title: The Spine Reach Roads of Old, the Colony. I'm not going to read that one. The title: This is the Voices of a Growing City. Sure. Okay. Introduction to the Heavens. Okay. The book is on the wrong subject. Search for works which contain details of the form or mention of the history of Charlene. Oh. Forever 20. Probably gonna have to go back and read that book. I did want to read. Read enough of the books to get past that part. Oh. That. That beforehand. Sorry, were you waiting long? I wanted to make sure I borrow at least a few promising volumes. Alphanode and Cryo should be along shortly. I was delayed in a similar fashion, as far as I could see. No titles in the Arcane stacks mention the final day specifically, so we have no choice but to start with the entangled relevant tomes, if they are even that. At present, the plan is to skim through as quickly as we dare and share our discoveries as we make them. It would be nice to invite everyone to the estate. Plenty of comfortable places to read and ready supply of hot tea. Oh, I was always quite fond of reading outside. But it is not about the little pleasures, is it? You miss your home. It's been difficult. After our arrival, we managed to speak with one of the family servants and ask how things were. It seemed our dear father has instructed the staff that even if Alphino and I were to return to Charlene, we're not to be allowed across the threshold. Dang! A harsh measure indeed. I hope that our efforts to understand his position and that of the forms will perhaps lead to reconciliation. We'll mend this rift one day. I'm certain of it. And what of you, Gara? Have you been to visit your family, or do they not live here in the city? Well, my situation is also somewhat complicated. I was raised in Charlene, yes, but I was born rather further away. In the southern reaches of Ilsbar, in fact, for generations, my people have dwelt in Corvos, the coastal region opposite the island of Turi. The Alleghenies found a city that fertiled the lands, and by ship brought in the subjugated tribe of the Motit to serve as laborers. Of course, the massive earthquakes of the Fourth Umbral Calamity brought an end to the Empire's reign. And when the Fifth Calamity froze the seas solid, many of the tribes still living in the Corvos bravely journeyed back to Erosi. My ancestors, however, chose to remain that they might prevent the remnants of the Allegheny technology from being misused. Isn't Corvus under Garland rule? For the past 50 years, yes. Some semblance of local culture remains, as is the case for most imperial provinces. But Garland renamed the region Locus Aminius. Okay. When I was a boy, a nearby town came under jurisdiction of an illustrious imperial family, the nobles of the House Daenerys. House Daenerys demonstrated a singular interest in Allegan civilization, and so my tribe was forced to consider a plan of action. For some time already, voices had been raised in favor of abandoning our ancient customs. After all, the Allegan's eye no longer passed to our eldest children as reliable as it once had. Fear of discovery eventually tipped the scales, and decisions was made to bury our ties to the knowledge and traditions of Allegan. As the last child born with the Alleghenian eye, I was given over to the custody of friends and the students of the Bobson, who had me registered as a Charlotte citizen. I never even considered. Forgive me. It was an unkind question. Even Thancred was taken in by Akron Luis, was he not? Stories of adopted wives and rescued orphans are more common among Charlans than you might think. Yet, regardless of our origins, we are all provided with equal opportunity to learn, and with sufficient subsidies, we outsiders can even earn the vaulted title of Archon. This is exactly why I have such love for this country. and why I wish it to remain a nation of which its citizens can be proud. Here, another good reason to get to the bottom of this form's stubbornness, aside from the trifling matter of our impeding them. Excuse us while we try to make some headway into these books, Story. More company should be arriving at any moment now. We've returned with our selections. Although I may say the pickings were quite slim indeed, Mistress Cryle has already flicked through every history book devoted to disasters and more than a few which barely made mention of them. As such, we will be looking into research papers on the umbrella calamities, as articles written by prominent forum members. Perhaps their knowledge of the final days comes from an unexpected source. Speaking of which, might I ask you a few questions related to the final days? I am the only one here who didn't witness the events of the Amarat firsthand, and fear I may be overlooking critical details. My thanks. Now, where to begin? First things first, what kind of phenomenon did the ancient encounters as the final days drew nigh? Let's go with worst type of phenomenon you could imagine. Well, that certainly is an accurate and somewhat ambiguous impression. To expound upon the explanation of the unfolding catastrophe wrought havoc on all manner of life. The chaos extended to the ancients themselves, causing the powers of the creation to spiral out of control. Fear and despair manifested in terrible, tangible fashion. Meteors raining from the skies, fire erupting from the ground, indescribable ambitions prowling the streets. That's more or less aligns with my understanding. If only the arts of certain creations had survived until the present day, we might have had something substantial to analyze. To the best of our knowledge, however, the techniques were not preserved or passed on. Chola summarized that the closest known magic is that of the summoning ritual promulgated by the Ascians. Was there aught else of note which heralded the approach of the final days? Say that we gave the heating sound itself. Yes, the Empress spoke of it, didn't they? We never did hear this sound ourselves, of course, thus as we were into the midst of the madness. But it seems that each and every one of the catastrophes were preceded by this ominous noise, eventually a resounding all across the star, and not even Amar was spared. So the ground was crying out, he said. To be considered a harbinger of doom, it must have been quite distinctive, and probably quite loud. I'll have to speak with one of the Nominum's mammoths and ask after any book which may mention of such sound. Last but not least, would you describe how the ancients sought to quell this unprecedented calamity? What definitive action did they take? Surely you can't be serious. That was the seventh one. Only an event of distant past. And even if Dublin had existed at the time, bringing down the moon of any kind would surely only make things worse. The ancients summoned Solar in response to the final day. Okay, I guess so. Many sacrifice themselves to bringing him into being, with Elizabeth serving as his heart. We do not know exactly how Zora brought salvation to the star, only that by his godlike will word the laws of nature was set right. And once the balance was redressed, the ancients offered up a further sacrifice to heal the ravages of the final days. Lives sprouted anew, and it was these fleeting souls that intended to render to Zodar a trade that would have allowed them to resurrect the shades of the loved ones torn by the primal. Or might have the Vandit and her fellows might have not manifested their opposition in the form of Heidelin. Thank you, both of you, for your details review. I feel much more confident now than my understanding of the events. With all that freshly in mind, it does make me wonder what the Telefonora really mean when they speak of bringing back the final days. We've seen what they are doing with those towers of theirs. It is forcing people to summon the primals, a kind of catalyst. Are they attempting to mirror the conditions caused by unstable creation magic? Or are they simply using the final days as a figure of speech, a convenient metaphor for the scale of destruction they plan to unleash? But this all just pointless conjures at the stage. Let us return to our attention to the form, shall we? We shall keep an eye out for Yashoda, but this time we begin studying these research papers. Guess we can talk to Yashoda this time. Am I the last, am I? Well, extended search of the Archon stack produced one or two possible useful books, but I won't get your hopes up. If you recall, Urianze learned of the source's reflection from the Gurner oracles for its potential to cause panic and confusion. That tome was deemed apocalyptic and sealed away in the Great Blue Library. 'Tis even less likely that the knowledge of the unsundered world, not to mention the horrors of the final days, would it be left sitting on the shelf for any curious scholar to find. It stands to reason that my colleagues, be they archons or counselors, should perforce be largely ignorant of the subject. Yet, when you confront Master Wilshon with knowledge of the Telefonora and their machinitations, he scoffs at the suggestion that they pose a threat. He seemed adamant that the form would know if the final days were truly upon us, which only supports the conclusion that whatever privileged wisdom is guiding the form's behavior is being kept secret from the rest of the nation. Not that I mean to excuse myself from reading duty. Whether they contain mention of the final days or no, these books could yet hold something of value. Were you thinking of leaving, were you? There's plenty of work for everyone. So I'm out of here. I'm leave that reading stuff to y'all. Labor for what feels like an age as you show the research assistant. Okay. Oh dear, you look exhausted. But what about your studies? Were you able to find any books on the subject mentioned? And the days well spent. Should you wish to read them again, the amendment at the reference desk will point you in the right direction. For the moment, though, I suggest you take a well-deserved rest. You might be occupied with our research for quite some time. like I should get back to that. Let's see what we got going on here. Actually, you know what? Tonight, I think this is where we're gonna, or this afternoon, this is where we're gonna leave it. So I am doing another stream later on today. Taking a little break and get some lunch and spend some time with my granddaughter. See, make sure she's happy while her mom is stepped out for a moment. But that is going to be it for us right now. We will be back this evening, probably at our normal time, around our normal time for God of War. Until then,